Hello. Now we are going to look at percentage profit, markup, and margin. And these are really just percentages questions that have a slightly different language to them, that they're introduced in a slightly different way, and specifically that they use the language of profit, markup, and margin. So percentage profit is where we are comparing the profit we make on something, and the profit obviously is the selling, how much we sell something for compared to how much we had to pay to get it. So selling minus cost gives us our profit. And then if we want to know our percentage profit, we compare that profit to the cost price, how much it cost us to get the product in the first place. So percentage profit is profit divided by cost multiplied by 100 over 1 to turn it into a percentage. So this is just a fraction or a decimal if we put it in our calculators, and then to turn it into a percentage, we multiply it by 100 over 1. Now, in terms of language, percentage profit and markup mean exactly the same thing. So percentage profit and markup are identical. There is no difference between them whatsoever. So if we see markup, it means the same thing as percentage profit. They're just two different names for the same thing. So percentage profit or percentage markup is profit over cost multiplied by 100 over 1. A slightly different idea is margin. So if we see the word margin in a question, it means the profit divided by the selling price, how much we sold it for compared to our profit, multiplied by 100 over 1 to turn it into a percentage. So those are our different formulae. It's important to keep in mind that these questions are essentially percentage change questions, and they can all be done using ratio percentage type methods, our unitary method. What's 100%? Find 1%, go up to the percentage we want. That's how these questions can be done. However, the exams are often written with a view to using these two formulae. And because of that, because the exam questions are worded to benefit using these formulas, we're going to look at using them. But these are essentially percentages questions and can all be done as percentages questions. Now, let's get into using our language. A shop buys a hat for €10 and sells it for €12.50. Part 1, what is the markup? Part 2, what is the margin? So, part 1 we'll start off with. If I see in a question that I'm asked about the markup, I'm going to immediately write down the formula. So I'm going to tell myself the markup is going to be my profit in euro over my cost multiplied by 100 over 1. So then I need to figure out what my profit are and what my profit is and what my cost is. Well, I'm told straight out in the question that the cost is €10. So the cost is just €10. Don't have to do any work for that. But the profit I haven't given directly. So how am I going to work out my profit? Well, I know my profit is my selling price minus how much something cost me. That's going to be my €12.50 minus my €10. So I made a profit in euro, and we can put in the euro symbol if we like, of €2.50. So €2.50 was my profit. So then my markup, I now have my two pieces of information I need for my formula. So I have my markup is going to be 250 or 2.5 divided by 10 multiplied by 100 over 1. So my markup was 25%. And remember, this formula gives us our answers directly as a percentage. So this is a fraction or a decimal if we put it in the calculator, and multiplying by 100 is how we convert it to a percentage. So this directly gives us a percentage answer. And that's my markup. Part 2, I'm asked about my margin. So then if I see margin in a question, I write down my formula for margin. It's going to be my profit divided by my selling price multiplied by 100 over 1. So I already know my profit. I worked it out in part 1. That's 250. And my selling price was 12.50. I can put in that I'm dealing in euros. So I have all my information, so I sub in. My margin is going to be 250 or 2.5 divided by 12.5 multiplied by 100 over 1. And again, this formula directly gives us a percentage. So when we do that, we get 20%. You can see we end up with different answers. So our margin is 20%, our markup, and our markup we know can also be called percentage profit. So percentage profit, markup mean exactly the same thing. And that is how we can use those formulae. Now, if we're asked a slightly more advanced question, a shirt is sold for $19.99 with a margin of 30%. What did the shop pay for the shirt? Well, I'm told about margin, so I'm going to write down the formula for margin. If I see that word in the question, I'm going to write down that formula, and that gives me an anchor for what kind of information I've got. So I know that's the E profit divided by the selling price multiplied by 100 over 1. And I know that that in this question is $19.99. Sorry, that's not. That's 30%, I should say. So my percentage margin is given to me by this formula, and in this question I'm told that it is 30%. And I'm also told that I sold the thing for $19.99. So that's the information that's given to me in the question. And when I do that, I can immediately see a way that I can make progress. I have a formula here which has the profit, the selling price, and I know it's equal to 30%. And I know what the selling price is. So if I sub in my $19.99 for the selling price, I'm able to rearrange that in order to find out what the profit was. So if I was unsure of how to get the final answer, what did the shop pay for the shirt, essentially the cost price of the shirt, I can still make progress, because if I write down my formula and what I'm given, I basically always have a formula that I'm able to sub into and solve for something. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find my profit. Now, with an eye to the fact that I know that the profit is the selling price minus the cost price. If I know the selling price and the profit, that means I can work back to get the cost price. But even if I'm unsure of that, I can still see something that allows me to make progress. So we always write down our formula, always write down the information given to us, and sub in if we can. So we sub into our formula here. So we have the profit, which we are looking for, all over $19.99. So I have my formula right here. I'm subbing this in right here, multiplied by 100 over 1, or just 100 is the same thing, and that's equal to 30. Remember, this formula works directly in percentages. So, this is really the number 30. This isn't 30 over 100. This formula is working directly with our 30% as 30. So we need to rearrange our formula. I'm going to divide both sides by 100 so that I get rid of this 100 here. I want to isolate my profit. So I'm going to divide both sides by 100. I'll use my division symbol here because I already have a fraction. So I'm going to divide both sides by 100. So I have the profit all over 1999 is going to be 0.3. And then I want to get the profit by itself. So I'm going to multiply both sides by the denominator. Pardon, I didn't leave myself space. 1999. And I need to multiply here by 1999. So 1999 divided by 1999 leaves me with 1. So I have the profit is going to be equal to 5.997. And I know that and we'll keep those decimals in the middle of a question. At the end, we wouldn't give that answer because we know that we should only go to 2 decimal places, particularly with money. But we know that our profit now, we want to get the cost price. So our profit is equal to our cost is equal to our selling minus our cost price. We know our selling, we know our profit, so now we can use that to work out our cost. So we have 19.99 is equal to, pardon me, 5.997, the profit, is equal to the selling price, which was 19.99 minus cost. Rearranging our formula, we want to get cost by itself, so I don't want that 19.99 there. And I get minus 13.993 is equal to minus C. Divide both sides by -1, so I turn them into positive numbers. Or multiply by -1, either way will work. So I end up with 13.993 is equal to the cost price. So the cost price as a final answer would be 13.99 euro. That's how much the shop paid for the shirt. That's the cost price for them of the shirt. Now, I mentioned that these questions can all be done as ratios, and all we have to be careful of is the 100% that we're thinking of is what we are comparing against. So let's take our margin here as a quick example. For margin, what are we comparing against? If we think about what margin means, our profit versus our selling, well, it's versus the selling this time. So that means the selling price is going to be 100%. So we're used to thinking of the cost price with a percentage profit of being 100%. But because in the margin we are comparing to the selling price, that means that we would take it as being 100%. And then what is the modification? Well, we have a margin of 30%. That means we're 30% down from our selling price. So our cost price then would be 100% minus the 30% for the margin. Because again, this is a change in perspective because we're talking about a margin. The selling price is our starting point, is our thing that we are comparing to. So the margin of 30%, we are going down from our original state by 30%. So that means that our cost price is 70%. So if we know that 100% is our selling price, I should say, is 100% is equal to 19.99, we would find out what 1% is, and then go back up to 70% to find our cost price. Is 0.1999. And then we go up to 70%, which is our cost price. And we get 13.99. So you can see this is quicker. The issue with it is twofold. One, the exam questions are often worded to take advantage of this formula. And the other is that we have to be very careful that we're good at telling the story to ourselves of what is 100% in this question, what is being compared against. So I'm showing this to you as a demonstration of the fact that these are fundamentally ratio and percentage type questions, percentage change type questions, but it can often be easier to use the formula if we can remember it. And that is what we need for now.